Yep, I've gone garlic style again as I got too lazy to go and get a haircut. I mean, it's hard now with the current circumstances, so I just started to spike it up. Anyway, World 11 was a tough one. While I found it to be significantly easier than Big Wave Beach, the fact you get a mix of zombies from other worlds increases the difficulty quite a bit, especially with the portals coming in, as if you're unprepared for dangerous zombies such as the Jester, you could be in for a ride. Not to mention the fact there are some new zombies in the world that can wreck your defences. While I never liked the shadow plants that much, it took me halfway through the world to realise I didn't have to use moonflowers, but there's still some good stuff to be found, and I'm counting tutorial plants in this world as both of them take place outside the player's house. You know how they're ranked by now, so I'm Asa from Gold Ninja Vlogspot, and Although, before we start the list, yep, we're on the last world of the series, so now I'm in two minds of what to do next. Therefore, I need your help. Yes, you. On my community tab, I have a poll for you to vote on for what videos you'd like next. Most votes, of course, wins. Okay, let's go. At the bottom of the list at the 9th spot, that feels weird to say, is the Nightshade. I still don't understand this plant. From what I can gather, it's a B-Tech Bonk Joy that can only attack 3 times when unpowered, but when powered by the Moonflower, it's an advanced pea shooter and it can regrow its leaves. But to make things more ludicrously complicated, the leaves are more damaging after you feed it plant food. So in short, the only real advantage is that it's cheap, as it's virtually useless without the Moonflower. While its damage is decent when ranged, a lot of zombies in modern day can defend against projectiles due to importing zombies from other worlds. And most of the time you're better off using multi-attack plants in this world to clear the hordes down. All in all, not a plant I ever actively choose to use. 8 is the Potato Mine. The lowest out of the tutorial plants easily. It may be a good kickstarter of instant kill, but the chili bean is easy to unlock just from playing the first few levels of Wild West, which doesn't require time to arm and stun zombies behind it. Another thing that lowers the use of the mine is that in the first 3 worlds you can take out any non-gargantua by feeding plant food to a pea shooter. And then there's Bonkcho and Snapdragon that can take out tough zombies in a 3x3 area with their boosts. And then they're the Primal Potato Mine, which kicks this plant's arse in every way possible. It just occurred to me that I cover the primal plants for their normal counterparts. Is that weird? So the only real reason to use the basic Potato Mine is to pick off threats early in the level in a low cost while you set up your main defences. 7 is the Moonflower. Okay, it seems like a cop-out to put the 8 other shadow plants this low on the list, due to how well she boosts the other plants. However, as a sun producer, I always found the chaining system to be unnecessarily complex and always find that I'm better off just using regular sunflowers, or large versions like the Primal Flower due to taking up less space. Therefore, I usually use Moonflower as a secondary producer with its primary focus on powering other shadow plants, especially the Dusk Globber. Another good one that I often forget about is the Shadow Pea Shooter, as it allows to function as a hybrid of a Laser Bean and Stalia. However, the worst thing about this plant is easily its terrible plant food effect, which just gives as much sun as it would normally, plus a force field which doesn't really do much. The plant is certainly not a bad one, but I would honestly prefer it if it just simply powered other shadow plants and not produced sun. 6th spot goes to the Dusk Globber. Again, this is another one that could get me heat for being too low, but its mediocre spot is mainly due to how good the plants above it are. The plant can be compared to the Pepper Bolt, with one sneaky little difference. While the Pepper Bolt does more direct damage, the Dusk Globber does greater splash damage. It is also cheaper and recharges faster, though it still doesn't have a fast recharge, which is annoying. However, that aspect is somewhat remedied by the Moonflower power, as that allows the plant to fire in 3 lanes, and for this reason I like to plant just 2 of them and use them as support plants. But that doesn't mean the Moonflower is essential to using the Lobber effectively, as the Lobber is just fine on her own. The middle spot goes to the Walnut, and we finally get to the OG defense plant. And while I mentioned in the Jurassic Marsh video, which I'm hoping you've all seen, that it's basically outclassed by the Primal Walnut, the regular Walnut had a long reign on the throne before that, because none of the others could fully phase out the Walnut. Toolnut, 2.5 times more expensive. Infinite, 50 times weaker. Endurian, 25% weaker. Peanut, still considered more of an offensive than defensive plant. Garlic, sucks. What I'm saying is that although it was outclassed when the 10th world was released, it was my primary defensive plant before then, so I cherish it. In 4th place is the Shadow Shroom. A plant that can keep on damaging zombies and ignore armor, giving you easy kills against tough zombies, yes please. While it can only be used once, it had the advantage over Magnetroom for being able to work on non-metallic armour like blockheads. It's also a great counter for newspaper zombies to escape their boosts. Sure, you can use instant kills most of the time, but the Shadow Shroom had the advantage of having a faster recharge, and its plant food is awesome, even poisoning non-eating zombies. I find it works better as a standalone plant, as its moonflower power, while useful, isn't as groundbreaking as, say, the Dust Globbers. The Shadow Shroom may be slightly outclassed by the Goo Pea Shooter, but not only is that a premium plant, but it has a much weaker plant food effect in comparison. Into the top 3, and the highest plant unlocked in modern day on the list is the Grimrose. Despite being the lowest voted modern day plant when I did a poll, it's my personal favourite from the final world. The so-called land tangle kelp is really a massive improvement over that plant, and is a quick instant kill for most zombies, although its system of targeting the most dangerous zombie has both pros and cons. It's an improvement over the chili bean as it can take out any zombie that is not a machine or gargantua, while the chili bean only works on eating zombies, and the Grimrose still does damage to those zombies that it can't kill. What's more, it can be used 3 times before disappearing if you power it with a moonflower. Also, a sneaky little cheat, you can dig it up before it disappears for a partial sun refund. The plant has 2 disadvantages though. 1, its rubbish plant food effects, and 2, it's virtually useless in far future as it can't properly kill any zombies besides the basic ones. Overall, it's a very useful instant kill with or without the moonflower. Runner up, Pea Shooter. It's weird that the first plant unlocked of the game is the second last one discussed in this series, and I see this as being a very polarising ranking. Some people may view it as a pioneer and therefore should be high up, while others feel it is outclassed and therefore should be low. While I can see that last point being the case with several plants, especially Primal and Fire Pea Shooter, I still use the regular Pea Shooter frequently to this day due to being cheap, simple, and having a good plant food effect that can usually deal with bucket heads, and in my opinion is more useful than the Cabbage Pulse boost. Another reason for the high ranking is that it's easy to level up, so the firepower quickly increases as the sunk cost decreases. There's a reason it's essentially the MVP of the entire franchise, and it's the second best modern day / tutorial plant. And finally, topping the list is the Sunflower. The most important plant in the game for beginners is kind of at the top by default, although I could just copy and paste everything I said for the Pea Shooter regarding the debate about being outclassed. I've previously stated that I'm not a big fan of the Sun Shroom, and the Twin Sunflower suffers from a much higher cost and slower recharge. And as I've already said, the Moonflower is not great. The way I see it, the only produce that actually outclasses the vanilla Sunflower is the Primal version, due to its cost and production rate being directly proportional and allowing saving up planting space. Only thing is, the Primal Sunflower is unlocked midway through one of the game's hardest worlds, so the Sunflower may be a primary pick for quite a while. It's also a lot better than in the first game due to producing 50 sun instead of 25. All in all, one of the most essential plants of the game and a worthy number 1 on this list. Thanks for sticking with me this far on potentially my most controversial list yet. But that's it for the rank series of the Plant vs Zombies 2 plants. Remember to vote what you like next in my poll that I spoke about in the beginning. Like the video, subscribe if you're new. I've been Asa. Thanks for all of the support on this series.